This Sagittarius full moon is about sovereignty. It's about liberation. It's about taking ownership of your own path, of your own life, of your own destiny. Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology, and today all things Sagittarius full moon, June 3rd, 2023, and you. What illuminations this fiery, passionate full moon is bringing to the surface within your universe, and how to lean into this purifying energy. This full moon is for the free spirits. This full moon is for the rebels. This full moon is for anyone who has been told that they are too loud, that they take up too much space, that they are too much. This full moon is a reclamation, and a reclamation of all that you are, even the quote-unquote bad or ugly parts. This is really being able to tap into your sovereignty. This is being able to have agency over living the life that you lead, embodying the person that you are, and quite literally burning away the opinions of anybody who has something to say about it. Because let me tell you, this Sagittarius full moon is involved in a grand fire trine. It is linked with Mars in Leo and Lilith in Leo, as well as Chiron in Aries. So there is quite literally all of this passionate fire energy to quite literally not only light the path to our most aligned, actualized way forward, but also burning away, scaring away anyone who is not meant to be part of our path. There is something around any forces that have tried to keep you small, try to keep you within a box. There is just this energy with this full moon around no more. There is this energy around being able to embody your freedom to live the life that you want to live, and to be the person that you want to be, and to be able to overcome any challenges, any hindrances in your way that would block you from embodying that. So if you can't tell, I'm so excited to talk about this full moon. It is truly so fascinating. I deeply recommend to listen to the full reading before jumping to your particular house. But yes, within this video, we will dive into the collective implications of this full moon. I will give you some Sagittarius full moon ritual suggestions if you really resonate with the thematics of this full moon and really want to anchor it in within your universe. And then we'll take it house by house to explore the particular life themes, life arenas that you are craving this actualization, that you are craving this freedom, that you are craving this liberation from others and their perceptions of you. Before we dive in, I just want to make a quick announcement that it is the beginning of the month, and the beginning of the month is a fantastic time to jump into Magic Monthly, which is a community here on YouTube where I do make you resources, calendars, as well as a digital planner that allow you to tap into the big picture astrology month to month to encourage more magic within your universe. So to find out more about that, you can check out the link in my description or just click the join button on YouTube. And then if you gain any value from this video, I would deeply appreciate any nudge of encouragement via a like, comment, share, subscribe only if I've earned it. I so appreciate you for being here and for getting dialed in with this rebellious, passionate full moon. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in your Sagittarius full moon horoscope. I apologize for the plane sounds, but I actually find it incredibly appropriate to talk about the Sagittarius full moon while planes are taking off above me. So the Sagittarius full moon will land on Saturday, June 3rd at 8:42 p.m. PT. Now, that is if you're on the West Coast like please make sure to adjust to your time zone, as it very well may land on the 4th based on where it is that you are located within this wide, beautiful world. And speaking of this wide, beautiful world, the sun will be at 13 degrees Gemini and the moon will be at 13 degrees Sagittarius, bringing to the surface this axis of Gemini and Sagittarius, both of which are very curious, expansive energies that want to explore this world, meeting all the people, having all of these experiences. And you may find as this full moon exacts, you're in the mood to adventure. You're in the mood to say yes to life. You're in the mood to be spontaneous, get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, meet new aspects of yourself. And to that I say, Go for it. That's what this axis is all about. Let's talk about the differences between these two because they're both humorous, they're both curious influences, but the difference between Gemini and Sagittarius comes down to this, and that is the axis of knowledge, that's Gemini, versus wisdom. Gemini is an air sign, operates through life through logic. Sagittarius is a fire sign, operates through life through faith. So both are adventurous, both are expansive, both are curious about this world and all of the people who inhabit it, but they operate a different way through life. Gemini more so around rationale, what makes sense. This is how you feel, this is how I feel. Sagittarius is more so the side, what is my personal truth? Sagittarius is depicted by the archer with the arrow pointing in the distance, pointed at the truth. And truly, Sagittarius placements view their life as a quest to get closer and closer to their personal truth. Whereas Gemini is an energy that might want to only make the right decisions or try to overthink, trying to plan out every single step. Sagittarius is the energy that just views our life like a quest, right? Just getting closer and closer to a sense of meaning, to a sense of freedom, to a sense of truth within their journey. So during this Sagittarius full moon, there is a need to be able to see your life like you are on a quest, to see yourself like you are the hero on a hero's journey, to understand there are no good experiences, there are no bad experiences, there are simply just experiences. And when you think about movies and films and quests, there are moments that it feels treacherous, there's moments that it feels dangerous, there's moments where it is sad, there's moments where it is hopeless, right? What keeps the protagonist going? What keeps the hero going? Faith. Faith within the big picture, faith that they will accomplish their tasks that they set off onto, as well as faith in themselves. Heroes are messy and imperfect and flawed, and you are messy and imperfect and flawed. And part of this full moon is about understanding that you are the captain of your own ship. You are the hero of your own story. You don't need anyone to save you. You are going to save you. And it takes being able to appreciate all that you are, even the bad parts, even the flawed parts, even the ugly parts. It's about having faith in yourself, even with those parts to yourself, those parts that you feel are not lovable, that you feel are too much. Because this full moon is trining Chiron. So there is this healing balm over this full moon. There's this healing balm around understanding, hey, my truth is going to look different than your truth. And we can both live and let live within that. Right? It's understanding, hey, I don't fit into your boxes and that's okay. I'm going to liberate myself from the ways that I have felt inadequate, not enough, in the search of my own personal sense of truth. Because oftentimes when we don't fit into other people's truth, right, whether it's society's truth or what have you, there could be this energy around, I'm wrong, I've got to fit into that. And there's this energy with this full moon where it's like, no more. There's this healing balm over it around just being able to reclaim the aspects of ourselves that we've suppressed because we're like, oh, this is too much. Oh, this is not right. It's being able to honor our own truth and let that guide us, just as a torch would, a fiery torch would. Because Chiron is the wounded healer. It's what within us we feel was flawed or inadequate or wrong. And with this full moon trining Chiron, we're understanding that flaw is what makes us the hero of this story. That flaw is what makes us the passionate soul that we are. That flaw is what makes us the leader that we are, that makes us the mother that we are, the creator that we are. Whatever it is that you are in the world, with this trining Chiron, it's understanding, hey, what I suppressed and tried to hid is actually a part of my magic. And I'm not going to listen to people who try to tell me I'm wrong for the way that I am. And I won't lie, there's some ferociousness in this full moon because there's also Mars and Lilith involved in this grand fire trine. So I want to get you familiar with Lilith firstly. So Lilith is the untamable. It is the wild feminine. It is the part of us that refuses to submit. It is truly sovereignty. Now, keep in mind, Lilith is a very controversial figure. In some texts, in some traditions, it was a very evil influence. Like I'm talking like eating babies and things of that nature. I'm not saying eat babies during this full moon. Please don't do that. But it's more so around not allowing ourselves to be controlled. Because in many texts, it is said that Lilith was Adam's first wife, but she refused to essentially relinquish control. She was like, no, I need to be your equal. I'm not going to submit to you. And thus, she was not fit to be Adam's wife because she refused to submit. So again, there's something imbued into this full moon around no more. I'm not going to submit anymore. I've been playing the role of the nice person. I've been playing the role of being super controlled. I've been playing the role around suppressing my desires or around suppressing my anger. And there's just this energy around no more. I am in charge of my own destiny. I am in charge of my own life. I am liberated. I am free to be able to make the decisions that I see fit. For some of you, with this square, the full moon square Saturn, for some of you, there's something in your life where you have been feeling very stuck. Your freedom has felt stifled. Okay, there is a role that you have had to play. There is a version of yourself you felt you've had to project. And there is this energy with this grand fire trine around no longer. Like it is this energy around no longer siphoning your power away. It is understanding I have agency over my own universe and I deserve to live a life in which I feel free. It is making the decisions that empower you as a soul and not waiting on life to happen. There's something really powerful about this full moon around taking our life into our own hands and no longer allowing ourselves to shrink in order to accommodate others or to not, shine so bright, not to accommodate others. There's just this energy around tapping into our raw, authentic self, no matter how ugly or raw or passionate or intense that side of ourself is. Because this full moon also trines Mars and Leo, so the combination of the two, it speaks to sacred rage. Because a lot of times, anger is more dangerous when it is simmering under the surface, when it's just building and it's building. It's every day, you're just smiling, but underneath it's like building and building. That's when it's like an eruption, right? A volcano eruption. And it could be really intense and really destructive, right? This is more so a full moon around giving yourself permission to be mad, okay? I'm just feeling strongly there's something with this full moon around you've tried to submit, you've tried to be perfect, you've tried to fit into the mold, and there's just this energy around I tried, I do not feel appreciated, it still wasn't good enough. No more. I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to advocate for myself. Because again, when we demonize anger, when we push it under the surface around no, it's fine, just like smile, just keep going through it, like that's when it just simmers and we can explode. This is more so a full moon around acknowledging we have a right to be angry and anger can be fuel. It's not a coincidence in astrology that the planet of action, taking action, is also the planet of anger. Anger can be fuel. Mars is also motivation. Anger can be motivation. Get mad about the right things. Get mad about where your power was taken away from you. Get mad about the ways that you have been told how to be. Get mad about the right stuff. There's just this energy around no longer feeling like we need to project this certain sort of influence in order to feel accepted by others. Because of course, with Gemini sun, this is a time to socialize, but it's this energy around, no, I don't want to necessarily be, two-faced. I don't want to have to project this happiness while this simmering anger is bubbling beneath. I want to be able to no longer demonize anger, just understand it's part of the human experience. To me, truly, this combination, especially with Lilith being a very feminine figure, dark feminine figure, it really feels like the melting away of being the good girl, being the nice girl, doing the right thing, being nice. Again, there is nothing wrong with being a compassionate, kind human, but being nice and being kind are different things. Nice sort of implies this energy around that's sort of the veneer, right? Like even if something really crossed a boundary with you, still having to smile. Like with this energy, it's like a lot of us are reclaiming our wildness. We're reclaiming our sovereignty. We're reclaiming our agency. We're just no longer wanting to submit. We're no longer having to have a smile on our face, even when our boundaries are being disrespected. No longer having to just deal with being catcalled all the freaking time. No longer being told like, smile, sweetheart, and like feel like we should just smile in order for our own protection. Like again, there's something around reclaiming feminine anger imbued into this full moon and just this energy around no more. I will not submit. I will not play this role any longer. And of course, like when it comes to anger, obviously utilize it in constructive ways. I'm not saying blow up at people and be super destructive, right? Again, it's linked to Lilith, but it's linked by a trine, which is a flow of energy. What I am saying is being willing to defend yourself, being able to reclaim those parts to you that you feel are rebellious or wild or raw or too much. The parts to you that this world have told you is better to suppress. It's just embodying those shadow sides of yourself. Because like I said about anger, anything in the darkness is more dangerous than it in the light. Like the more you try to ignore anger, act like you don't have anger, the more powerful and dark it can grow. The more you ignore your shadow side, the more powerful those demons in your closet can grow. It's really a time to just acknowledge, yes, you are the hero of your story. Yes, having faith in where it is that you're going, but understand you, like every other hero, like every other human, you are flawed. You have intense emotions. You are raw, right? And this can be leveled and brought with you as a strength as you reach your goals, as you ascend to the hero within your journey. Firstly, there is this reclamation of all of the aspects you felt like you had to suppress, felt like you've had to push down. It's a time to bring them into the light and integrate them within your journey, within your path. And you know, this is a fire full moon. Fire can get out of control. Just one spark can turn into wildfire, which is why I'm saying leverage all this passionate fire energy intentionally. We don't want to be destructive or anything of that nature. Use it to guide the way. Use it to illuminate parts of yourself, of your journey, and bring it with you as you set off on your hero's journey. Of course, Sagittarius is about faith, it's about the quest, the search for meaning. It's about optimism, okay? So it's not about succumbing to those lower level emotions and allowing yourself to be a jaded, angry person. It's just understanding this is why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. This is where people have tried to keep me small and where they did not succeed because I am still going. And that energy is also baked into this full moon. So on that notion of the hero's journey, there is a significant final boss involved in this full moon. The Sagittarius full moon squares Saturn, and it is separated, which means it's at a later degree than Saturn, which does feel like we will win the final boss. That doesn't mean that it's any easier. With the square to Saturn, this is the acknowledging of the hindrances and restrictions and the attempts to keep us small, where we are feeling stuck in our current role, where we are feeling stuck with all of this, physical or domestic labor, where we are feeling stuck with the responsibilities. And with the Sagittarius full moon, it's this desire for freedom. It's this desire for new experiences, right? It's both acknowledging the hindrances that are very much real within our universe, but with the Sagittarius full moon, it's understanding, yes, I have these responsibilities. Yes, I have these roles. Yes, my life is stuck in these particular ways. No, I will not allow myself to stay small for them. I acknowledge them as hindrances. I will overcome them. Like this powerful full moon around really being able to overcome challenges, guided by this sense of faith within the bigger picture. So yes, in the hero's journey, meeting of the final boss or the final opponent, that's hard, right? And Saturn stuff is hard. There's real challenges. There's real hindrances. There's real responsibilities or decisions or expectations that are keeping you small. But since Saturn is technically separating from the full moon, it implies that we will overcome the challenges that are very much real within our universe. Like again, the Sagittarius full moon could be beckoning you around, I want to feel more free. I want to feel more empowered. I want to feel more actualized. I want to have more freedom within my life. I want to travel more. I want to live bigger. Like those are all real desires that are bubbling up during the Sagittarius full moon. And with a square to Saturn, you might feel stuck within your current iteration. But I want you to know this current iteration does not encapsulate all that you are and all that you will be on your own hero's journey. And it implies that you will overcome this challenge. And in fact, it'll give you the experiences and the character development that you need on your hero's journey. The Sagittarius full moon does require some optimism, right? It's both acknowledging our shadow side while freeing ourselves to really live out our light side around expecting the best and moving towards the best and believing in our ability to create a free, actualized, meaningful life, even with whatever is trying to keep you small right now. Whether that is a job, whether that is a relationship, like with this square to Saturn, it's important to understand this is a lesson that you are moving through. It is not all that you are. And part of this Lilith energy is around not settling for a current experience. Again, gratitude's important, but it's this energy around, no, I'm not going to accept this as the rest of my life. I am going to build my pathway forward. I am going to be the hero on my journey. I'm willing to learn lessons lessons and conquer the final boss on my journey, but I am not going to submit into what society tells me I should do, what you tell me I should do, to just these responsibilities that are active within my world. I am going to take charge of my own destiny and become the person I'm meant to be. This is all encapsulated within this Sagittarius full moon. So let's provide some more nuance and detail via your Sagittarius full moon ritual suggestions. So as I say, every new moon video, every full moon video, rituals are sacred, and I want you to honor what it is that you're feeling intuitively guided to do. I just do this segment just to provide some inspiration if anybody really resonates with these themes and isn't sure how exactly to work with it in order to really tap into its magic within your universe. So of course, it's a fiery full moon, so I would deeply recommend working with fire, and I would deeply recommend essentially writing down anything that you feel has been holding you back or anything that has been impeding on your freedom. This is a really powerful full moon to really allow yourself to seal off and to release anything that has been keeping you small or keeping you stuck. So write down whether it is limiting beliefs, okay? I'm talking about this final boss stuff and this limiting job, limiting relationship. Maybe your final boss is your own mind. Maybe you've been keeping yourself small because of fear or something of that nature. Again, write down the belief systems, the statements that go through your mind that you're ready to release. Maybe some of you are really just trying to banish a particular karmic loop or a particular cord from your life. Write it down and burn it up, and just visualize as you see it going up in smoke. Obviously be safe with fire, but as you see it, just picture yourself just feeling so much lighter as you just release this energy out of your life and allow yourself to feel all the more free, all the more actualized. I would say with the Sagittarius full moon, a beautiful way to balance the axis of the Gemini sun and Sagittarius moon is socialize, adventure, party, interact with the world. That is also how we get closer to our own personal sense of truth. When you engage and socialize with other people, that's a Gemini sun, you get the opportunity to contemplate, this is how this person feels. Does that resonate true for me? Is this part of my personal truth? That's a Sagittarius moon energy. So there's an ask with this full moon around how it is that we can engage and socialize and network, knowing that we don't need to necessarily take on everybody else's opinions, everyone else's perspectives, but granting ourselves a space to contemplate, okay, that's how you feel. Does that resonate for me? So great opportunity to say yes to that party. Get into an environment that you typically wouldn't. Maybe go on a little trip or plan some traveling or plan a retreat or a class. Anything anchored in the idea of learning would be very powerful during this lunation. I just learned about this. I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm not going to say it, but essentially if you're looking for wisdom, go on a magical little walk. Do you guys have those like little free libraries in your town? Like, I'm telling you, if you set the intention before you go for a walk to say, universe, align me to the right book that I was meant to read at this moment in time. And then take one of your books, you could do a little trade, and then just check out all the little free libraries and just allow yourself, where your spirit feels led, open up one of those books to a random page and just honor that sentence or that paragraph as wisdom for you. It would be a really aligned way to celebrate this Sagittarius full moon. As well as doing anything active, Sagittarius is about the adventure. You know, maybe some of you can go do some archery or just physically move your body. You know, with Lilith and with Mars, like I was saying earlier, you know, it's okay to get mad. And I know both, you know, masculines and feminines watch my channel, so I don't want this to feel limiting, but there's just so much encapsulated in this full moon around reclaiming feminine rage with the trine to Lilith. Like, so often we're just told, suppress, girls don't go angry, girls just smile, they just go along with whatever men want. Like, get mad, scream, take a kickboxing class, scream into your pillow. It's okay to have big responses. You know, we pay for everything somewhere. So if we don't allow our anger somewhere to go, it can fester within our own body and turn into resentment, right? So this full moon is asking for release. So use this full moon physically, get that anger out of your body, take a kickboxing class. Again, not towards other people, but something like kickboxing. Go to a canyon and scream. Get some of this energy out there and understand there's something sacred about rage. It is suppressed, particularly as feminines, because we are so powerful. Reclaim it. And I also want to say, do your own thing. do your own thing this full moon. If someone's trying to say, oh no, you have to do this because you are my girlfriend, because you are my boyfriend, because you are my daughter, like you have to do this. Like again, I don't want you to yell at anybody, but with this energy of Sagittarius full moon, it's like, no, I'm gonna do what it is that I want to do. Even if like your friends are going somewhere and you want to go somewhere else, honor what it is that you want. To thine own self be true. Be open to connect and to socialize and all the things that Gemini sun wants. If your journey is taking you into a different direction, that is okay. You have to follow that arrow wherever it guides you. So those are just some ideas to start getting you brainstorming about how it is that you can celebrate this Sagittarius full moon. Now let's dive into where exactly this full moon is landing in within your chart and the life themes it can be bringing to the surface. So to get more information about where in your chart is building this desire for embodiment, for sovereignty, for actualization, for independence within your world, we'll want to find out where the Sagittarius full moon lands. So there's two ways that you can do this. The first being, all you'll do is look below in the description in the pinned comment, find your rising sign, also called your ascendant sign, and advance to your timestamp. That is your reading. That is if you are newer to astrology or you utilize whole sign house system. Utilize that strategy. If you use Placidus, I do as well, you'll want to get specific about where 13 degrees Sagittarius is located at within your chart. So what you'll do is you'll go to astro.com. From here, find the Sagittarius symbol. It looks like an arrow. How appropriate is that? So it's red in Astro. I'm circling it on screen. So this is the Sagittarius portion of your chart. So when you follow the inner ring, you'll see little numbers. So you see here that that Sagittarius symbol extends through the 11th and the 12th house. So you can either listen to both and just see which resonates for you on whichever houses it's essentially extending through that symbol, or we can find where 13 degrees Sagittarius lands. So we'll go to where 0 degrees Sagittarius is. So this will be the line that borders the Sagittarius symbol from the Scorpio symbol. So the Scorpio symbol is blue and it has a little tail sticking out. I'm circling it on screen. So that's a Scorpio symbol. So see where Scorpio stops, Sagittarius begins, that's 0 degrees Sagittarius. These little grid marks indicate increments of 5. So it goes 5, 10, 15. So this little mark is 15. So we know this full moon lands at 13. So if we go halfway in between 10 and 15, this is the arena of where 13 degrees Sagittarius is. Follow to the inner ring of where that area is approximately and see which house it is located in, and then advance to that timestamp. Within this description on screen, we see that it lands in the 11th house, but it's pretty close, right? To really verify, to make sure that it does indeed fall in the 11th house or whichever house you are debating between, what you'll do is you'll go to Additional Tables PDF. From here to the right-hand side, you'll see where every single house starts. So you'll see the sign and the degree that every house starts. So if we were torn between the 11th and the 12th house, we'll want to see where the 12th house begins, right? Because that's where the 11th house ends, the 12th house begins. So we see here that the 12th house begins at 14 degrees Sagittarius. So if that's where the 12th house begins, we know this full moon must be at 13 degrees Sagittarius because that is before 14 degrees. So from there, you would just listen to the 11th house reading, advance that timestamp, and get your reading. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in our house by house Sagittarius full moon analysis. So if you are a Sagittarius rising or the Sagittarius full moon, so 13 degrees Sagittarius lands within the first house, this reading is for you. And you guessed it, you are the main character of this full moon, and you should experience some significant epiphanies and revelations around yourself and your path and your desires. And there feels to be a reclamation around understanding it's okay to want what it is that you want. I feel strongly that with the Gemini sun in your 7th house and Saturn in Pisces, most likely in your 4th house, I feel there has been this tug of war that you don't want the same things that the people around you do. Perhaps you see the future differently than the people around you do. Perhaps there's even familial pressures around people like us don't do that, or people within our family unit don't live life like that. Your desires are wrong. Your desires are wrong. And there feels to be this cultivation at this time, or at least this simmering desire around this is what it is that I want. And I'm not going to be made small because of what you think my life should be. Where it is that I have been does not define where it is that I am going. Because as I highlighted, this full moon square Saturn, which is most likely in your fourth house. Fourth house, yes, can signify family members, family commitments that are keeping us ensnared in some way, but it can also signify where it is that we come from, our ancestry, our lineage. So there can be this energy around you really diving deep to dissect, where did I feel like I can't do what it is that I want, or that I can't accomplish my desires? Where does that come from? And how can I liberate myself from that? So some people will be feeling like kind of family pressure around, no, you can't travel, you need to stay here with the family, or people in our family unit just don't do stuff like that. Some of you are feeling this pressure as it relates to relationships. Maybe you're feeling this restlessness building within you, that your partner wants you to stay smaller, wants you to conform to their desires, and there's just this stirring within you around, I just want more. And it's like our relationships need to accommodate not just who it is that we've been in the past, but also where it is that we're going. And you're starting to attune to where it is that you're going, the direction that you see your life going in. And some of these illuminations can be emotional. Having a full moon in the first house, you're recognizing the person that you are and the person that you are evolving into. And in the process of evolution, it is a process of grief. Truly, we truly grieve the past chapter as we step into the next. So some of you can be rectifying this energy around the life that these desires will require you to step into, and the old self that you are grieving, and perhaps even the connections in your life that are attached to your old self. The friendships, the relationship where it's like, we used to feel resonance and now we don't, because you were connected to who it is that I was when you met me, not who it is that I am now, and certainly not my higher self that I'm stepping into. So there is a little bit of sadness coming to the surface with this full moon in the first house around understanding where your desires will take you, where your higher self is pulling you. I swear that's how it feels sometimes, that your higher self is like yanking you in a certain direction. You're like, no, I liked this comfort zone. But again, you can appreciate all that's gotten you here while also understanding your quest will take you elsewhere. And for some of you, there is this reclamation that's coming through in the way that you dress. You can find around this time, you're dyeing your hair red, you're dressing in the way that you want to dress, you're wearing what it is that you want to wear, even if your family or the people around you are like, oh, that's so bold or that's so out there. You're like, no, this is how I want to dress my human avatar during the time. This is how I want to express it myself. This is who it is that I am. Now, some of you, it's not so dramatic as feeling these converging paths around, this is what people want me to do and this is what I want to do. Some of you are just having this reclamation of self. You're really having this divine cosmic cue around emboldening all that you are. All that you are, my love, even those parts that you have been told are too loud, too much. I know not all of you, but a lot of you guys will be Sagittarius risings. And Sagittarius is an energy that is big, it is adventurous, it is expansive. So the question is not whether you are too much, it's if they are enough, right? Like, again, if you're being in environments that are telling you you're too much, you're too out there, that might be a sign that it's time for you to adventure into new environments, right? Like oftentimes when we grow up in hometowns or in family units, or we've had a relationship forever that tells you you're too much, we start to think, okay, it's a me problem, but it could just be a signal of your environment that you have grown so big that your environment can no longer encapsulate and celebrate all that you are. And perhaps it's time for a new adventure to beckon your way. So what I'll say with this full moon is, to thine own self be true. Dress in the ways that you want. It is your body. Take control of your life. It is your life. Own your desires. They are your desires. And wherever you have been keeping yourself small, it's time to expand. So if you are a Scorpio rising, or the Sagittarius full moon lands in the second house, so you have 13 degrees Sagittarius within the second house, this reading is for you. So this is a divine reclamation as it relates to your self-worth. Some of you, it's like your very confidence and your being sure of yourself can have a tendency to trigger people, especially if they're insecure. They're like, oh, this person's so conceited, they're so self-centered, because they wish they could be as self-assured as you. And with this full moon, it's just this energy around, no, I'm not going to apologize any longer. I'm actually going to be a little bit louder about my accomplishments. I'm going to roll my shoulders back and hold my head up a little bit higher because I'm proud of who it is that I am. And you can't tell me to dim my light any longer. That's a huge message coming through around taking full ownership over your self-worth, being like, no, you've tried to keep me small and no more. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of people who want you to not feel confident. There are a lot of people that want you to not feel self-assured. Not me. I want you to feel confident and self-assured. But what I'm saying is there are industries that prey on your insecurities. There are toxic relationships that feed off of your insecurity because it keeps you stuck. A confident person is an empowered person. An empowered person knows that they don't need to stay in situations where they are not valued. So again, there's a lot to gain from people making you feel small or insignificant or belittling your successes or accomplishments. And this just feels like an energy where you are just holding your shoulders back and you're being like, no, I'm not going to make myself small. I'm not going to say self-deprecating comments to make you more comfortable. If my confidence triggers you, let it inspire you to also hold yourself to the same standard, right? Because I'm not saying you need to walk in and be boastful. It's more so around, there is no other option. I'm not going to dim my shine to meet you at this level. You can either meet me here or we just have nothing to connect on. It just feels like for some of you, you've been dimming your glow. You've been dimming your accomplishments. You've been keeping yourself small. Maybe other people have told you you're too much, you're too cocky, or what have you. So you've just been trying to keep yourself smaller, and there's just energy around no more. For some of you, maybe you're not feeling confident, and this is a full moon that makes you realize, I should be confident. Like, it's an energy around the full moon is literally beckoning. I want you to go look at that full moon, love. And I want you to think of that full moon telling you, know your freaking worth. You are made out of stardust. You are a unique combination of signs and aspects and planets. You are a divine cosmic signature that belongs to you and you alone. And here you are doubting yourself. Like, this is a fiery full moon to literally burn away anything that made you feel less than, okay? And it's not you saying that you are perfect. This full moon trines Chiron. It's understanding everything that you looked at around ways that you were not enough. You were too loud or what have you. It's like embracing that and being like, that's just part of how it is that I am designed, right? And it's learning and growing with the Gemini sun, but it's also refusing to conform or keep ourselves small because that stagnates our growth. For some of you, this story is playing out within finances. So this full moon can be timed with certain payments coming in, yay, love that, or epiphanies around finances, around maybe you've reached your max at your current job. And I'm not saying quit your job, but there can be illumination around my value is not being honored here. It's time for me to move on, right? Sagittarius is a very adventurous energy. So maybe you're considering going off on your own journey, a self-employment journey, building something that you can share what it is that you find valuable with the world. There's just this spotlight around your finances and whether you are finding meaning within them and whether they feel representative of you. And this will only be a message for a few of you. Some of you have been made to feel that your desires were a bad thing. Okay. You've been feeling like it's bad to be materialistic. Maybe you asked for a raise and they were like, well, you're not doing it for the good of the company, or maybe you have a business and you started charging more and your customers were like, what the heck? Like, here's the thing. It can be interesting, especially if you work in a spiritual field, but even if you don't, if you're just a spiritual person who also deals with money, which is most of us, right? Is that there can be this interesting parallel where it's like, why should I care about my finances if I'm the spiritual person? I feel this big calling, right? I feel a sense of meaning. Is it materialistic to have these desires? And to that I say, no. You came here to be a human being. You came here to planet Earth to experience what it felt like to be a human being. And that includes buying nice clothes that you like and eating delicious foods and having things of beauty around you. Your desires are not bad. Okay, so whether you're like in a relationship that's trying to tell you that you should want more simplicity or like less stability, or whether you've been told you should change your business practices to accommodate people or your prices are too high or what have you, there's just this energy around understanding your own worth and that you deserve to be compensated for your own worth. And your desires are not bad, right? Money is not the root issue. Money can buy us access to so many beautiful experiences, so many beautiful adventures with the Sagittarius full moon, right? We don't need to demonize it. we don't need to demonize it, right? And your desires are not a bad thing. It's how we are meant to operate these human lives. So for some of you, you are reclaiming your desires around, no, I actually want more for my life than this. Some of you, interestingly, the theme is coming through around actually wanting freedom from money. Maybe money has been on the pedestal and some of you are considering leaving a high-paying job or something in nature around, no, I actually am sensing a sense of meaning in my life outside of just financial concerns. And for some of you, you're using this full moon to book a trip, okay? I'm so excited for you. That's gonna be so fun. And I'm also feeling strongly, because there's this tension with Saturn in the 5th house most likely, some of you are feeling weird about your desires to earn an income from your passions, from your creativity or something of that nature. And I want to let you know, yes, your relationship to your passions changes when you monetize them. But I will say it is one of the coolest things ever to be able to earn an income doing what it is that you love. Does it suck sometimes? Yeah. Does it take the fun out of it? A lot of times, absolutely. But with this Sagittarius full moon, it's almost this energy, whether it's burning off the judgment, people being like, you can't make money off of your art, or this is energy around burning out maybe your self-doubt around who would want my art, or can I monetize this? Like, there's a call to really shine and allow your most authentic creativity to come through. But all in all, the Sagittarius full moon is really an illumination on what it is that you value out of life, investing in something that you do find meaningful, as well as really unearthing and excavating your own confidence and allowing it to shine as brightly as fire does. If you are a Libra rising, or the Sagittarius full moon lands within the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, so 13-degree Sagittarius lands in your 3rd house, this reading is for you. Your call this full moon is to embolden your voice. It's to embolden your voice. A lot of you have been quiet for a little too long. Not all of you, but most of you are Libra risings. And Libra risings are beautiful, firstly. Like, name an ugly Libra rising. Like, they literally don't exist. I've met with so many clients, and every Libra rising that I meet with is like always beautiful. But other than that, okay, with Libra rising, shadow side is that they do want things to be nice. They want to harmonize. They want to people please. They want everyone to get along. And it just feels like this full moon, there's certain frustrations building within. And this full moon is a spotlight on them. There are certain boundaries you need to communicate at this time, with the grand trine involving your 11th house of friendships and 7th house of one-to-one. Some of you need to speak a boundary to a client. Some of you need to be more honest. Okay, I'm feeling that so strongly. And when we talk about honesty, it's not only just not telling lies, it's also telling the truth, your full perspective. And with the energy of fire, like allowing it to radiate out. And with the energy of Libra rising, you can have a tendency to want to placate, you want everyone to get along. But again, when you do that, you bear the brunt of what it is that is not said. It stirs within you. It turns into resentment. So I'm just feeling strongly in relationships and partnerships with clients, with friends, with colleagues, there is a desire to speak your truth. Okay, speak your truth, communicate honestly at this time, because some of you are getting mad. You're getting mad around the things that you have not said, because I will let you know, people betray us, but we also betray ourselves by not stating our boundaries and furthermore enforcing our boundaries. So I do think a lot of you with this full moon are being guided around, there's certain things that need to be said. You could just be like going with the flow right now. Like, I don't want to make a fuss. Let's just see how it goes. But with the Sagittarius full moon, it's just like really casting a spotlight around what is it that you need to say in order to feel more embodied, in order to feel more powerful within this connection, within this relationship. That won't be the story for everybody. Some of you, there is this illumination around a new journey you want to set off on, okay? A lot of you are feeling really restrained by your duties, by your obligations. Day-to-day life is feeling so busy. You have less time for yourself, and you're really just craving an adventure and attunement to the big picture. Maybe there's certain aspects within your day-to-day work that have got gotten stale and you're just craving an adventure. You need perspective, my love. You're craving perspective. And you can find this perspective. It can be through reading a good book. It can be through a short-term travel, but there's something around, you need to take a step back from your day-to-day in order to tune to the big picture, right? You need a little bit of an adventure. You need to give your mind some new stimuli. I don't know the exact statistic, but I want to say that 90% of our thoughts every single day are similar to the day before. Isn't that trippy? And with the Sagittarius full moon, it's like, let's get some new stimuli. Let's get some new thoughts going. Let's communicate with some new people. Let's have some adventure. Because for some of you, you've been feeling stale. It's like the colors of life just feel drab. You just feel dull. You feel less yourself. Like you just need some new stimuli with your mind. So some of you are taking a class, you're going on some sort of journey, you're conversing with new people. There's a call around wanting to network and to socialize. Some of you, this desire to tell the truth. You are contemplating how to be more honest and authentic as it relates to your social media presence. And this is always such an interesting line to toe because there really is this desire for authenticity coming through currently as it relates to how it is you communicate who it is that you are to the world. So with this energy, there's an interesting balance that you are striking around obviously wanting to perhaps keep a professional presence if that's the vibe of your social media, but also needing to be authentic. And let me tell you, authenticity is very appealing. Like again, it shouldn't be forced as a marketing strategy, but honoring that when you let your customers in on the journey of your business, they feel part of the journey with you, okay? So if you've been trying to keep everything pretty, sorry, I'm coming for you guys, Libra risings, trying to keep everything pretty, everything's perfect. Like again, maybe this is a sign from the cosmos around allowing some of those, messy behind the scenes posts or those moments when you wanted to give up and you didn't. Like Sagittarius can be a very inspirational sign, and this is in your third house. You're meant to communicate in a very inspirational way. So notice where it is that you're keeping a facade or keeping things very pretty and polished all of the time, and allow a couple of those moments. It's human, right? And it makes people feel more connected to you. So there's also an energy around where your social media presence has felt not authentic to you any longer, and where it is that you're craving something new. Because I'll say it can be so scary, being a business owner, having social media, being a content creator, having a podcast, because you have to set the direction, right? And your listeners, your viewers, or what have you, they can either join you on that journey or not, right? That's their decision. But I will say that creating content that you no longer align with, it can feel like a prison. Like the Sagittarius full moon is about freeing ourselves. So whether it's like a certain series that you've done on your social media or a certain style that you've done on your social media that you no longer have resonance with, but you feel beholden to because you're like, well, my customers like it, my subscribers like it, my listeners like it. They like you. And you are guiding it. And I'm telling you, you're the most magnetic when you like what it is that you're creating. Having Sagittarius here, Sagittarius is the adventurer. Like your content will take you into new places. Your marketing will take you into new places. Your sales will take you into new places. Give yourself the gift of expansion by allowing yourself to move in a new direction if this current one is feeling claustrophobic. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your listeners, to your subscribers, what have you. Some of you, there's just a desire around wanting to learn new communication skills. You can be really shining a spotlight on your marketing and your sales for your business overall, wanting to try out some new strategies for customer retention or for marketing. I want to let you know that this full moon is supportive for all of this. If you are a Virgo rising or you have 13 degrees Sagittarius located within the 4th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. Your celestial spotlight with this full moon is really on the most private portions of your reality and just how free or not free you feel down to you as a human being. When you have a full moon within the 4th house, yes, there can be certain illuminations around family. You could be spending time with family, having important conversations with family. There can be certain illuminations around lineage, around ancestry. But what I really want to hone in on here is how free you feel within your soul. How free your soul feels. Do you feel like you're growing? Does your current environment provide you the environment for you to facilitate growth? Do you feel stagnant? And this is an interesting question because it's not so much about a certain arena of your life, but it's just how at home you feel within your soul. How free or not free you feel within this particular iteration of your life. Do you feel like a bird stuck in a cage that feels too small? Like, do you still have space to fly within your cage? Because yes, fourth house is our physical home. So some of you can have illuminations around wanting to move somewhere different, wanting to maybe travel or sell a home or buy a home. Certainly there can be illuminations around your physical sanctuary, but it's also just how free do you feel in your current sanctuary, into the container that encapsulates you. Yes, the walls certainly, but this particular chapter, like, how emotionally free do you feel? Do you feel trapped by the past? This is the time to liberate yourself from the past. Do you feel like you are still living and growing within life school? Do you feel like this city allows you the expanse to be your own person? Do you feel like your family or the people who feel like family honor who it is that you are now, but also who it is that you're evolving into? With this full moon here, sometimes there can be feelings around feeling claustrophobic, whether you're home, you're like, I love this home, but all of a sudden everything feels so loud, and all of a sudden I just feel like I know too many people in the city. I'm just craving freedom. I'm just craving something different. I feel that my work is done here. I feel that my growth is stagnated here. Like, I keep getting this vision of just a bird who's grown so big that the cage that used to feel exciting and expansive and it was flying all around, it just doesn't have the room, and its wings begin to decline. Again, this full moon is reminding us, if we do not grow, we decline. So ask yourself, am I growing within this current iteration, whether that is encapsulated by my home, by my intimate connections, by my emotional state? Am I growing or am I declining? And what are the shifts that are going to allow me to feel more free, to allow me to fly higher, to feel more optimistic about myself and the direction that my life is going? And for some of you, maybe it's not that your home is the cage, maybe your family's not the cage, but it can be your past. Whether it's like ancestral patterns, your lineage that's keeping you small, or even just your past, you keeping yourself small because of the dominant feelings of guilt or of doubt or whatever emotions that have been keeping you small, keeping you stagnant. This full moon asks for release. It asks for release. You are not defined by your past. You are not defined by the people who birthed you. You are not defined by your ancestors. You are not defined by even your mistakes. We are constantly evolving and growing. And I just feel strongly, this might be a message for just one or two of you, but with this full moon linking with Chiron and Lilith, respectively, most likely in your 8th and your 12th house, I feel some of you are working on forgiveness. For yourself, mostly. Like, you're working on essentially bringing light to parts of yourself that you have suppressed or parts of yourself that you have kept hidden. These desires are bad. This longing for growth is bad. Keeping it hidden, keeping it hidden, keeping it hidden. And understanding that this life will entail many more rebirths over. It'll require many different iterations of who it is that you are and the heights that you can soar to. Because again, it could be so upsetting because it's like, this cage is so beautiful. I love this cage, but it just doesn't accommodate how big my wings have gotten. And that can be a grieving. And I'm kind of getting upset just because this is the house that this full moon lands in for me. And it's really interesting because it's linking the 4th house with the 10th house and the 7th house. So some of you are asking, does my career allow me to grow into all it is that I am? Are my relationships allowing me to grow into all it is that I am? Cages can be comforting, but again, you have to ask, is this career supporting my growth or stagnating it? Are these relationships supporting my growth or stagnating it? Are they letting me fly, or are they wanting me safe in this little cage where they can control me? Again, some of you are reclaiming your desires. Some of you have been told that it's wrong to want what it is that you want. Some of you have been told it's wrong to be the way that you are, and you're just freeing yourself, like literally from the inside out. So some of you are literally moving. Some of you are having confrontations with family members, having confrontations with one-to-one. Some of you are really contemplating your work-life balance and whether you're getting enough downtime, enough sacred time outside of your demands from work. And a lot of you are just contemplating how free or not free you feel within this particular iteration of your journey. Some of you are freeing yourself from emotions that have held you back, sadness that has encased you, or guilt that has encased you, or grief that has encased you. Again, lovingly embrace that as part of your journey. But if you have allowed those emotions to keep you from experiencing new things, this energy to free yourself from not living because of that. Like, I just need to convey this one more time because I just feel like this is important for someone to hear. Like, I just feel some of you are dealing with something around guilt or obligation that makes you feel guilty for flying high, or makes you feel guilty for wanting all these beautiful things. Like, there's something around, maybe you lost somebody, or there was like some grief, or certain people didn't get to experience all this. Maybe like ancestrally, you're like, my mom didn't get to be this free, my grandma didn't get to be this free. Why should I be able to travel the world if they didn't, right? Like, there's these energies of guilt, but I want you to know you should seize this life and every drop that it has for you because of those people who did not get to. Do not let your sadness for what other people did not get to do and get to be keep you small from going into all that you can do and that you can be. So that might just be a message for a couple of you, but it felt important to share. If you are a Leo rising, or the Sagittarius full moon, or 13 degrees Sagittarius lands within the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And there is a celestial spotlight on the fun that you are having within your current experience. A lot of you, not all, but a lot of you will be Leo risings. And I want you to know, I know that there have been aspects of your life that have been quite challenging. Like, whenever we talk about Leo rising, we need to take into account that a lot of you will have Scorpio IC, which can be very challenging, right? So I'm not saying you have not had to go through rebirths, but what I will say is that you are the most magnetic through your life force energy, okay? And that is when you are just turned on and celebrating the fact around being alive and having moments of play. Because I just keep thinking about how if you have this full moon here, you have Gemini at least partly ruling your 11th house of hopes and dreams and fortune. And Gemini is around connections, it's around lightness, it's around finding humor. So I feel for a lot of you, you get what you want, not when you're like buckled down, super stressed out, but actually when you're light with life and trying new things, it's like synchronistic things and connections come into being. And I feel for some of you, life has been a lot of work and like no play, and you're being asked to reclaim play for yourself, reclaim parts of you that have been frozen away. So I feel for some of you, there are certain hobbies or activities that you were told that you were not good at, like whether it was creative writing, like your teacher was like, you're not a poet. Or maybe you want to be an artist and your mom was like, I don't know, maybe something more realistic. I want you to think of those desires that you suppress. So you were told you shouldn't love this or you shouldn't do this. Reclaim them, paint, my love, write, my love, and get mad about people who told you that you shouldn't. Like, this is the time to really reclaim everything that makes you happy. And of course, whenever we talk about the 5th house, we have to talk about inner child work, because 5th house is both the children that we have, so there can be illuminations around our children, but also the inner child that lives within us. So there is a celestial spotlight on that person and being able to heal your relationship with that person. Like, how often are you giving yourself experiences that your inner child is there experiencing with? Like, when's the last time you walked and grabbed an ice cream cone or rode your bike or something of that nature? Because a lot of you have had to grow up fast in a sense, and you owe it to the younger version of you to have those moments of carefree fun that your inner child was denied when you were younger. And I say this simply because a lot of you all are Leo risings, and with the energy of the sun, it's all about shining, right? It's around adoration, it's around validation. So a lot of times individuals who are Leo risings can get caught into this cycle around constantly feeling like they need to project what other people want them to be, which at times can create self-betrayal around what it was that you wanted for yourself. Maybe other people wanted you to dance, you wanted to do creative writing. This time to reclaim creative writing, like reclaim every aspect of your self-expression that you were told wasn't realistic, or that you weren't good enough at, or didn't get the applause that you were seeking. This is the time to generate your own applause and really just allow joy to be the parameters by which you measure your life. So some of you, when we talk about inner child work and it's squaring Saturn, which is most likely in the 8th, this can be deep, this can be intense. So I don't mean to just paint over this with this rose-colored cheer, just be like, yeah, eat ice cream. Like, again, it can be intense. Understanding these dynamics and understanding how they have kept ourselves small and kept ourselves from being authentic and expressing ourselves. So absolutely allow the space for that healing, but do allow creativity and fun to be the foundation of this full moon. moon. I also want to let you know that with fifth house, it's also around romance. So if you are in a connection where you don't feel like that is part of it, like the Sagittarius energy asks, what can we do to kind of reignite the spark? Do we need to go on a trip? Do we need to be curious about one another? Do we need to expand our horizons of what's possible together as a couple? Do we need to talk about our hopes and dreams with Gemini, Sun, 11th house? Do we need more in our social calendar? Like, this asks you to really shine a spotlight on the element of flirting within your connection, and whether within your relationship you feel like the world gets bigger, like more expansive with opportunities, or whether you feel smaller in regards to it. For some of you who are single and just kind of dating, this is a spotlight to really just finding the adventure within dating, like getting out of your own way around feeling like it needs to be a to-do list and a task, and really just like having fun, being honest about your desires, being honest about who it is that you are, and allowing yourself to have fun on them. I will say with this full moon, a lot of you guys are going to have some fun, okay? You're going to be partying, you're going to be socializing, it's going to be a good time, and allowing yourself to just, as you engage with the world, as you socialize, as you network, as you create, allowing authenticity to guide the way. Because when we talk about fifth house, we're talking about self-expression. That is the crux of the fifth house. It is how it is that we share. This is who I am with the world via creations, via plays, via poems, via stories, what have you. And so during this full moon, allowing yourself to boldly and courageously share what it feels like to be you. So maybe some of you, you've been sugarcoating your short stories because you're like, is that a little too much? Are people going to find that too raw? Or maybe some of you haven't been putting out your art because you're scared of what people are going to say. This is the energy to really celebrate the authentic expression that is encapsulated in you. And I see, like, with this full moon trining Chiron, a lot of that expression is earned. Like, it is literally arenas of your life that you had to go through the fire and experience to be able to create art about it in such a raw way. So honor that wisdom, honor the wisdom that led to that expression, and don't allow people to cheapen your vision because they don't understand it. It may just not be for them, okay? So celebrate, have fun, create, play, flirt, reclaim pleasure within your world. Because when we talk fifth house, we are talking about pleasure of all sorts, and it trines Mars and Lilith. Some of you are just reclaiming your desires, like you're reclaiming your agency as it relates to romance and everything within that. You're reclaiming your desires to go after what it is that you want, go after who it is that you want, and to not feel guilty for your desires, to not feel guilty for having a lot of physical needs or wanting a lot out of life or wanting a lot out of love. Again, they can either meet you here or carry on. Like, again, maybe some of you have felt like, is it wrong that I want it this much? Or is it wrong that I'm this passionate? Like, is it wrong that I'm this emotional, or like that I'm this much or this dramatic or what have you? This is a full moon that is a radiant return to the truth that you inherently already know, which is no. This is exactly how I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it. If you are a Cancer rising or the Sagittarius full moon, 13 degrees Sagittarius lands in the 6th house of your astrological natal chart. This reading is for you. And so this is a spotlight on your workplace, the people that you work with. This is a spotlight on your day-to-day, and like day-to-day, how empowered you feel, and the shifts that you can give yourself in order to feel more empowered, in order to feel more actualized, in order to feel more free to be your own authentic person. Some of you are having this illumination around how free or not free you feel within your workplace, around the people that you work with, the company that you work for, the tasks that you do. There's this energy around wanting to take agency over the situation. So for some of you, this can be timed, like if your coworker has been assigning you a lot of work and it doesn't feel fair, like it could be timed with wanting to stand up for yourself. Some of you, because this will trine Mars and Chiron, Mars and Lilith, which is most likely in your 2nd house, you can be standing up for yourself, wanting to earn more money, wanting a raise, right? Wanting more recognition or validation for your efforts. There really is a spotlight to work, and whether it is really expanding your growth or whether you're feeling stuck, whether you're feeling stagnant. I'm not saying everybody needs to quit, but there is a spotlight around what's going to allow me to feel more free. Is it different tasks? Is it standing up for myself within the situation? Is it no longer going with the flow, allowing my needs to be heard? What is going to allow me me to live my most empowered day to day. And for some of you, maybe this illumination around, it's time for me to explore. Like, I do not need to work here any longer. This place is keeping me small. Like, it's time for me to go elsewhere. It's time for me to find a different job. Maybe some of you are like contemplating with the Sagittarius full moon, you're like contemplating doing seasonal work or like travel work or something of the nature. You're just craving freedom at this time. And with this full moon, it's just basically shining a spotlight around whether your day-to-day feels like a container or feels like a prison, because there's a difference. Obviously, we need structure. We need to show up for our health. We need routine. We need to go to the gym. Like, all of these things we have to do in the care and keeping of being a human being with a human body. But you need to look at your routine and see, is this allowing me to feel more free? Like, do you go to the gym and you're like, this is allowing me to feel more free because I'm investing in my health? Or is this feeling something limited? Because some of you, you're freeing yourself from certain obligations that you're like, this just no longer gels with me. Like, I used to love meeting with this personal trainer 5 times a week, but now I'm finding that I'd rather just go run on my own. That's how I'd like to show up for my health. I used to find it really important to commit to the skincare routine, but now I'm experimenting with something different. Like, again, it's going to show up in different routines, but there's something around, is this allowing me to feel more free? Like, every time you do skincare, yes, it's an obligation, but you're like, this is allowing me to feel more empowered and free, or is it feeling something like, oh, I have to do this? And again, with the energy of Sagittarius, sometimes it can be impulsive and like fun-loving, so I'm not saying this is the time to basically stop brushing your teeth and stop doing all these things, but is it getting you closer to the life that you want to live, or is it keeping you stuck, keeping you small? There is a spotlight on this, as well as on work, whether work is accommodating your growth or stagnating your growth. Maybe there's certain busy work that you do that you're ready to free yourself by outsourcing. Maybe you're like, okay, cleaning my house, editing my videos, whatever, this is not a great usage of my time. I'm going to free this up off my plate to allow me more spontaneous time, right? Maybe this is like being able to meet with your boss to say, hey, these tasks are not getting me to my vision of where I want to grow within this company. Can we talk about how I can shift this around? When it comes to health, if there are certain things that feel restrictive, right? Like, you've been really restricting your diet and you're like, this made me feel stuck. It's taking the fun out of food for me. This might be a time to switch it up, to experiment, right? Like, allow yourself, like, routines and health, it shouldn't be something that is limiting. If anything, it should make us feel like we're getting closer to that ultimate goal of health, which is the true wealth, right? So there is a spotlight around how free and empowered our daily routines make us. There's a spotlight on pets, which is sweet. There's a spotlight on coworkers, how free we feel to be our authentic selves around them, as well as really the balance between mind and body is really accentuated here. So all in all, my loves, this is a beautiful full moon to really examine the minutia of your day, and whether those minutia, those tasks, those obligations, those to-dos, are they getting you closer to your dream life, to your most actualized self, or are they keeping you stagnant? Are they keeping you small? Is there a certain comfort zone within the restriction that you have built around your life? And is it time to take a step back to see, okay, these routines might have been helpful at one time, but are they allowing me to grow and to evolve? Because our routines evolve just as we do, my love. Like, there can be certain times in your life that you're like, yes, running 5 times a week, like that sort of structure helps you, right? It's super supportive and training for that 13K. But when we force ourselves to these health regimens, to these to-dos that no longer gel with who it is that we're evolving to, you could stagnate a bubbling desire within you to want to try Pilates, to want to experiment with new cuisine, right? Like, health is a balanced lifestyle. So for some of you, you're freeing for something that has been overly regimented. For some of you, you are getting your freedom when you commit to some sort of routine, right? When you commit to moving your body more, you feel more free and more empowered within your physical body. So illuminate how free or not free your daily routines make you feel, whether you're requiring more structure at this time or perhaps freeing yourself enough to try new things at this time. So if you are a Gemini rising, or the Sagittarius full moon lands within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, so 13 degrees lands in your 7th house, this reading is for you. And this is a cosmic spotlight to your relationships and how free or not free they are making you feel. Relationships are always so tricky because it's like we enter relationships as one version of ourselves, but the very act of being in a good relationship is committing to your growth. And not just your growth, but the growth of your partner and the growth of the relationship itself, which means meeting new versions of your partner all of the time, right? And growing with them rather than keeping them small. Some of you are going to have an illumination during this full moon around how certain partners have wanted to keep you small because that's familiar to them, right? Maybe some of you are dealing with certain partners who don't like when their partner is more successful than them or more attractive than them or more popular than them. So they're negging you. They're talking down to you. They're trying to get in your head and make you feel self-conscious, okay? Like those are all signs that someone is insecure and trying to make you feel less than. And some of you with this full moon, you're observing that, whether it's friendships or relationships, you're just like, do you want me to stay small? Do you want me to stay small? Unfortunately, a lot of people want you to stay small in relationships. It's so strange. It's like they want to see you doing good, but not better than them. And it takes a real partner to support your growth, even if it makes them a little uncomfortable. They're like, wow, I met you and you were earning this much and now you're this person. And our power dynamic has shifted. And it's like the right partner for you will celebrate that. They'll celebrate that. They'll be so happy for you because they want you to be the best version of yourself. Some of you have found that. And this full moon is a celebration of these partners who make you feel more supported, because I will let you know, you most likely have Saturn in the 10th house. You are working hard. You are putting in hours to build your destiny, to build your dream, to build your career. Some of you are super stressed at work. You have a lot of pressure on you, and you don't need pressure from your partner as well, trying to make you feel guilty for your ambition or putting in extra hours when they know this is what it is that you want. And Saturn's there. So again, you will reap the rewards from the hard work that you've been putting in, which I know that you guys have, okay? And with this full moon, it's really going to illuminate whether the partners, people in your life, are celebrating and supporting your growth or whether they are making it harder, right? Like you're putting in extra hours of work, then you come back and you have a partner who's like, you never have time for me, da, da, da. Like again, we shouldn't allow work to take over the entirety of our life, but partners should understand that sometimes we do have to give more of our energy to work. They should celebrate that and be able to pick up the slack, just as we pick up the slack when the same happens for them. That is growth. That is partnership, okay? And some of you are having illumination if that is in your life or not. Some of you with this full moon, you are burning away what past partners have made you feel like about yourself. Okay, like with this energy around that your desires were wrong, that you were wrong. There's this energy around understanding that you are not the sum of the people that you have dated or of the opinions that they have of you. There's a reclaiming of your own path. That being said, I'm not saying you have to go off and do your own thing. It's a full moon in 7th house. Connect with people. Honor people's authenticity. Honor your own authenticity within those connections. Celebrate the relationships that make you more of yourself. Some of you, this would be a great time to celebrate your relationship. Book a trip with your partner. Do something spontaneous. Plan an adventure with your partner. Does your connection make the world feel like a bigger place or a smaller place is the question to ask yourself. Some of you outside of relationships, there can be an illumination on what it is that you're really looking for within a relationship. Some of you are freeing yourself from the past, right? Roles that you felt like you've had to play for the people of the past. Some of you, this could be timed with a contract, honestly. Or some of you, I'm feeling actually a releasing of a contract. Freeing yourself from a contract that has felt stifling. Like, yeah, with this full moon in 7th house, some of you guys are freeing yourself from relationships that have been stifling your growth, okay? Or you're celebrating the relationships that are celebrating your growth, or you're calling in the relationships that will inspire you to grow. That is essentially what is baking in the cosmos for you, the Sagittarius full moon. If you are a Taurus rising or the Sagittarius full moon, 13 degree Sagittarius lands in your 8th house, this reading is for you. And this full moon is really a nudge from the universe around how much faith you have in the transformations taking place at this moment. Some of you are diving deeper into intimacy in new ways that you are not accustomed to. I find this fascinating because a lot of you all are Taurus risings, and Taurus's energy, they like what it is they like, and they're comfortable in their own ownership. They typically, if they want something, they go off and get it. And 8th house is where it is that we merge. It's things that we cannot control. It's where we relinquish control, which Taurus risings, that is not always where you're the most comfortable. There are certain connections for some of you that are asking you to soften your heart in new ways. It's making you feel uncomfortable. It's making you feel really uncomfortable. Like some of you are sinking into connections where there is so much intimacy, where there's so much depth, that it's almost just making you feel so uncomfortable. Like you almost just want to go back to a shallow surface level relationship because you're just like, oh my gosh, this is like going really, really deep and this makes me feel uncomfortable, right? Because this is the house of risk. And the thing about relationships and that level of intimacy is that it is scary. It can feel like a trust fall at times. But I want you to know with the Sagittarius full moon, it can be a whole new lesson for you. It can be a whole new arena of life's goal. It's merging in deeply within this connection and allowing your needs to be met and allowing your needs to be heard and allowing yourself to be seen and all of your shadow sides and all of your secrets. That can be something actually freeing and liberating. I know it feels scary. It can feel freeing to allow someone to see those innermost depths of your soul. And so for some of you who are not in a relationship, this is more so around the transformations that are baking currently. And so for some of you, perhaps you're experimenting with new ways of allowing people to meet your needs and to reach you and understand you. For some, this is showing up financially. With the Sagittarius full moon, there can be a call to allow your partner to support you a little bit more, or purchase nice things for you, or allow yourself to receive, whether it's material support or other forms of support. There's just a call around knowing it's safe at this time to receive support from others, okay? I know sometimes there could be defenses around, oh, if I let them in, if I let them help me, then I'm gonna owe them something. Again, intimacy is this beautiful give and take, and some of you are being asked to kind of relinquish into it. So for some of you, you are allowing a partner to support you. It can be a spotlight on your shared finances, how it is that you guys are divvying things up or things of that nature. Some of you are actually freeing yourself from relying on your partner's finances, or you're like, I don't want to rely on you. I want to do my own thing. Maybe some of this won't be a message for everybody, but some of you, maybe you've had a partner who wants to financially control you, and this is a, fire grand trine that's essentially burning away that element of control and being like, you're not going to control me via your money anymore. I'm freeing myself from this dynamic. Some of you are in the midst of a major transformation. You're doing a lot of shadow work, and it's fascinating to have this very fiery full moon in this 8th house that's very murky, because a lot of you are just facing aspects of yourself. And again, nobody is perfect. We have parts of ourselves that are ugly and raw. And with this full moon trining Chiron and Lilith, we're reclaiming it. We're reclaiming aspects of our past. We're reclaiming aspects of our shadow side and understanding it's part of our power, right? And owning our dark makes us more able to carry the light, okay? Like that's a huge thing about spirituality, I feel, is that it's not all love and light all the time, okay? It does require depth. It does require sometimes dark nights of the soul and walking through some scary territory, right? But with the Sagittarius energy, it's just having faith. It's having faith in where your arrow is pointed. It's having faith in what is providing you meaning as you move through this transformation. When we talk about 8th house, it's the house of death. I'm not saying anyone's gonna die, okay? But it's maybe the arena of having to kill off certain parts of you that you've outgrown, right? It's having to walk through the fire around, I don't know who I'm transforming into, but I have faith in the path, or I have this shimmer of what it is that I'm moving to. I have a vision of what it is that I'm moving to, and that's going to allow me to overcome all that I am grieving, all that I am letting go, all that has ensnared me, all that I have hidden, all that I've repressed. I'm allowing this arrow to guide me to my most aligned, actualized self. And some of you, this will not be a message for everybody, random, but some of you are freeing yourself from guilt or grief. Like some of you have been keeping yourself from living because of guilt around, why should I live if this person didn't, right? Why should I get to travel if this person didn't, or something of the nature. There's certain guilt that's been keeping you small. And I just want you to know, I said this in the Virgo rising reading as well, like you should live because that person didn't. Like I know it's challenging sometimes when you're dealing with grief and you're like, why should I get to have these experiences and travel and love and feel when there are people that I've lost that didn't get to experience as much as I have, right? And I just want you to carry the torch for those individuals. I want you to live your life in honor of those experiences that those people didn't get to have. Some of you are freeing yourself from guilt or grief, right? You're honoring that these people who have passed are walking with you, and you're honoring them every single day as you adventure, as you transform. And this will only be a message for a couple of you, but some of you have been allowing finances to keep you from living. Okay, with a Sagittarius full moon, it's like, are you living? Like, are you living, expanding, experiencing, exploring, or are you just surviving, meeting your physical needs, your material needs? With this Axis lighting up the money houses, it's really asking, like, are you earning money? Yes, but what are you doing with that money? Are you investing in experiences that bring you closer to a sense of truth and to meaning? Are you investing in experiences that you will remember on the very last bed that you will sleep in? Hate to get morbid, but it's 8th house we're talking about. So there really is a balance. Obviously, we need money and stability and all of those things, but just ensuring that you are also bucketing the investment of your resources and experiences that make you feel more connected to the bigger picture. If you are an Aries rising or the Sagittarius full moon, so 13 degrees Sagittarius lands in the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And this is a divine cosmic spotlight on the adventure or the lack thereof that has been coming to the surface within your universe. Listen, I know a lot of you are doing some deep work, okay? A lot of you have Saturn and Pisces transiting the 12th house. So a lot of you are really being diligent. You're cutting out bad habits. You're showing up more for yourself spiritually. You're really committing to be the higher version of yourself that you know is within you. And this is a full moon that asks you how it is that you are getting yourself out of your comfort zone, right? Like, it's almost like Saturn in the 12th is like limiting your bad habits. And then with this energy in the 9th house, it's like, but what are we using to invite into our life now that we don't do this any longer? Like, how are we using, so we gave up vaping or whatever. Can we put that money towards traveling more, right? Or maybe we're not drinking any longer. Can we join spiritual retreats as well? It's like, it's asking for an infusing of more good habits, or at least habits that just connect you to the bigger picture, right? Some of you have lost your sense of wonder, and this full moon is a return to it around having new experiences, going new places, studying new topics. Some of you have to reconnect to your sense of curiosity and wonder and engaging with life and getting out of your comfort zone. So this would be a deeply aligned full moon to plan a trip. Okay, some of you need to plan a trip. Some of you are feeling a call to want to devote to your studies more so. Maybe some of you are contemplating getting a master's, or you want to learn a particular skill. There is an emphasis upon learning through the school of life, right? As well as some of you are being asked to balance logic with faith. Some of you haven't been listening to your intuition. Perhaps you've been looking towards others. And obviously there's always a space for spiritual mentors who can help guide your path. But I will say, some of you with the Sagittarius full moon, you are empowering yourself to follow your own arrow, wherever that may take you. Maybe there are certain belief systems that no longer feel like they align with you any longer, and you're just really wanting to take agency around, this feels good, this feels resonant for my own big picture, and I can follow my own truth as I go, right? Like, it's so important as we engage with anything spirituality to have discernment. What somebody else's teaches may not be your personal truth, and that is okay. We need to balance the studying of the mechanics of these topics while also honoring discernment within us. Not every religion is for us. Not every form of divination is for us. Like, again, this is a full moon return to what is for me. And for some of you, there can be this releasing around, this religion is not for me, or, you know, I used to really resonate with cards and no longer any longer. Like, it's so important as we wade into any of these things that you really cultivate discernment, right? That you really strive to attune to, how does this make me feel more connected to my personal sense of truth? Does this elicit feelings of fear and of guilt within me, or does this make me feel more empowered? Because I'll let you know, the universe should be something that makes you feel more free. It should be something that makes you feel more empowered. And especially with where this grand fire trine is linking, like, some of you are finding spiritual topics and you're healing, like, random, but some of you are like healing religious trauma of some sort. You're healing certain belief systems that used to align and maybe made you feel quite bad about yourself or put you into a state of guilt or obligation. I feel that just with Chiron in the 1st, and with some of you with Mars and Lilith in the 5th house, made you feel bad about your desires or something of that nature. Like, again, This is just my personal opinion, but I do believe that connecting to the universe should actually make us feel more free and enlivened and not small, right? So some of you are sort of reclaiming dogma or things that you've been told that you're like, that's not for me. That might be your truth, but that does not personally align for me. It's like a very live and let live. And it's committing to the experiences that will allow you to get closer to that truth. Like, again, you don't need to be there right now. You don't need to know definitively what it is that you believe. You just have to commit to doing the work, to being open to reading and to traveling, to whatever it is that makes you feel connected to something bigger, committing to that work. If you are a Pisces rising or the Sagittarius full moon, so 13 degrees Sagittarius lands within the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And this is a cosmic cue to really attune to the direction that your arrow is pointed at in terms of your legacy. And I say arrow because Sagittarius is the archer. So this is a time to recalibrate. What is the direction that I'm pointing to? Like, this is a really powerful time to attune to. Like, look at your authority figures, look at your bosses. Do you want their lives? Do you want their jobs? This is the time to essentially look around and say, is this environment getting me to the sense of freedom and empowerment that I am looking for? And if not, how can I shift my arrow in a new direction, right? With this Sagittarius full moon, it is really calling into question whether you feel like you are expanding in your current workplace or whether you feel like you're declining. And when you contemplate legacy, what it is that you want people to remember of you, is the direction that you're heading in, is that what you want to be remembered? And my love, I want you to forgive yourself if you're like, Haley, I don't know what I want my legacy to be. I don't know yet. Like, again, Sagittarius is just committing to the adventure of finding out. It's not that you need to know it all. It's just committing to honoring that contrast. If you're finding with clarity, hey, this is actually not the direction that I want to go on, and being open to adventuring and expanding, being open to trying different things, being open to setting new goals in order to get there. Now, you all most likely have Saturn in the first house, so you are under a lot of pressure. You're being asked to show up as a leader. You can be feeling a lot of stress at this moment. And again, there's a difference. Like, sometimes we don't feel necessarily free at work. Like, there's a lot of busyness going on, but we know, like, this is going to get me closer to freedom, or like, I'm going to open my own business one day doing this very exact work, and this is a step to get there. Like, again, it's not saying that every single day you should be feeling super free and empowered, because again, every single career, there's aspects of it that are going to feel like a job. Like, it's just unfortunately part of it. But if you can step back and still feel connected to the bigger picture, if you can feel connected to the direction that you're going in, that's where you need to be. If you feel like you are growing and meeting new parts of yourself and expanding as you interact within this industry, that's where you need to be. And I say this because with Saturn most likely in the first house, this is not a time to back down from hard work. Like, I'm not saying your dream career is something you don't work hard at, right? I'm just saying that legacy that you want, those big picture dreams, is your current pathway getting you there? And are you committed to doing the legwork, doing the adventuring in order to get yourself in alignment with the path that is for you? Right? Because that can be scary. Like, Sagittarius is the energy of adventuring, it's the energy of expanding, and it could be scary to free ourselves from something that was linear, right? It's like, well, this is what I majored in, this is what I thought I was always going to do. It could be scary to even contemplate that you could create something different for yourself. But essentially, this is the time to question, am I growing in my current environment? What would allow me to facilitate my own growth? What direction can I point my arrow to? Because I'm not saying everybody needs to quit, but maybe this is taking classes on the weekends so that you can shift to a different industry. Maybe this is doing some research around starting your own business, something of that nature. It's a time to align your arrow on the direction and know that the contrast of where it is that is not serving you within your current reality, especially within work, that brings clarity. Now, for some of you who aren't involved in the workforce or anything of that nature, the attunement is to any sort of passion project that is out there, as well as your reputation. Like, again, with the Sagittarius full moon, I do feel there is some healing going on with it linked to your second house. Some of you are really healing that your job is who it is that you are. Like, you are finding your worth in other arenas. you're finding your worth in other arenas. You are no longer finding your worth around, this is how good of a worker I am, or this is how much money I make. Like, you are finding your worth, you are finding your value in different arenas, and you're healing the part of you that felt like your worth was encapsulated into what it was that you were known as. And some of you are standing up to an authority figure, you are standing up to a boss, someone who made you feel less than. A couple of you are tapping into your roar, okay? So definitely be mindful, because like I said, with fire, grand trine, it can easily get out of control. Like, we do want to strive to be respectful. This full moon does square Saturn, but there is an energy around just like holding your space, holding your ground, and really knowing your worth, my love. If you are an Aquarius rising or the Sagittarius full moon, so 13 degrees Sagittarius, falls within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. And so this is essentially a celestial spotlight on the people that you are around and whether or not you feel like they are conducive to your growth. I am not going to repeat the quote. We've all heard it a million times, but it's so true that we are truly the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And this is really a time to connect to what I want these people's lives. And it's not from this envious standpoint, it's more so around, are they facilitating my growth? Like, do they check me when I'm messing up, right? That's a sign of a good friend, is when they are truthful and honest with you around, hey, you're messing up in these arenas. And I honestly feel really grateful, because I have those friends in my life who literally will let me know super quickly, like, hey girl, this is not it, right? Because your best friend is not somebody who's like, yeah, you've got it, even if you're being toxic or making really destructive decisions. They're the ones who love you so much that they know when you are not living up to your full potential, and they will be truthful with you around where you are slipping up or where you're not living up to your potential. And I say that because Sagittarius is a very truthful energy. So some of you could have to tell the truth to a friend of yours, or some of you can have a friend tell the truth to you, right? And honoring that the focal point of relationships should be honesty, should be authenticity, right? Friendships are not people that are just there to just cheerlead us all the time. Like, they should be positive, uplifting forces, but it's also people saying, hey, that wasn't cool. Like, hey, I gotta let you know, because who's gonna tell us if not our friends, right? Like, with this energy, there's a celebration of friendship. So it's both allowing other people to honor their truth who are in your orbit, as well as being open to receiving the truth from your friends, or at least their perception of the truth. Yours may look different, but at least they gave their standpoint on the matter. Some of you are freeing yourself from toxic relationships, okay, at this time. Friendships, things of the nature. You're freeing yourself from caring about what other people think about you, right? Like, with this live and let live energy of the truth, like, obviously other people telling us their truth can't help our journey sometimes. Like, I've had friends who checked me and I was like, oh my gosh, you are so right. I've had friends who checked me where I'm like, nope, I still feel in alignment and integrity with my own personal truth. Like, again, hearing them out, but using discernment around, is this true and real for my journey? Some of you, there's this energy around certain friendships have wanted to keep you small, or they're being destructive, or they're tearing you down. And this could be energy of freeing yourself from them, right? Of understanding, hey, these friendships have facilitated my growth up to this point, but it's time for me to expand within a new direction. And some of you are just reclaiming your desires, okay? Some of you are reclaiming hobbies or interests that you used to have that you were told were nerdy or weird, and you're reclaiming it. Like, if you used to love playing Neopets or something, there's the energy around reclaiming it. Be like, I was told this was weird. It's valuable to me, so I'm going to reclaim it, right? You're reclaiming friendships that allow the authenticity for you to be fully yourself and for you to celebrate them being fully themselves. And you're also just reclaiming hopes and dreams that you had for the future that you were told was dumb or silly, right? Like, you used to want to be a ballerina and people told you that it was dumb, so you just like suppress that dream within you. And there's this fiery energy around reclaiming it, right? And being like, no, like, I want to practice ballet. That makes me happy. Again, it's just pulling in 3rd house, which has to do with sort of like skills, and 11th house has to do with hopes and dreams. So there is this energy around reclaiming that we are the captain of our ship, and we get to set the direction of the hopes and dreams we want to pursue. And other people can share their perspective and share their truth. But again, at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your ship. with. You need to build the hopes and dreams that you will be happy with at the end of the day. And this may only be a message for a couple of you, but I do feel that there is a recalibration occurring as it relates to how it is that you have fun, how it is that you spend money. So some of you, you can find that you're wanting to free yourself, like you're not finding meaning in going out and partying any longer or something of that nature. Like, don't get me wrong, I love partying, I love having fun. I do think with your Sagittarius full moon 11th house, you'll want to socialize, but there's a difference between socializing that makes the world feel more expansive and you're learning and you're experiencing new things versus just hanging out in someone's dingy basement every single Friday, right? There is a difference. And I feel for some of you, you'll be liberating yourself from certain friendship groups and being open to expanding, open to finding new ways to have fun, open to find new ways of expressing yourself. If you are a Capricorn rising or the Sagittarius full moon, so 13 degrees Sagittarius will land within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart. This reading is for you. And this is really a divine recalibration of your internal guidance system. And that is your intuition and how much you trust it and how much you allow it to guide you. Because with this full moon linking Saturn, which is most likely in your 3rd house, and the Gemini sun, which is in your 6th house, there's this energy around other people's thoughts and opinions are feeling more real and more important than what's bubbling underneath the surface. But what I want you to know is that your coworkers, the radio that you hear on the way to work, it will never be as true as what is bubbling within you via your intuition. But because you hear that, because it's visible, because it's tangible, it can feel more real, it can feel more true to you. And there is this need to be able to retreat from the external world, to hone in on this internal wisdom within you. So for some of you, the Sagittarius full moon, you can be connecting with the other side. You could be connecting with your guides. Your dreams can be fascinating at this time. Like, this is the time to kind of retreat from the external world, to tune into your inner universe. And I know some of you guys are very, very grounded, but with the Sagittarius full moon, it's like these practices make us feel more connected to the big picture. And a lot of your daily life, I'll be real, with 3rd house and 6th house emphasized, it might be feeling sort of monotonous. But again, within you, there's an entire universe to explore, okay? Your soul, there is so many layers to that tapestry to explore. Like, there's so much depth within you, my love. This is the time to explore it. And beyond these modalities, it's not so much about the cards that you pull or the pendulum that you utilize or the dreams that you have. It's less so about that, more so the wisdom that it creates for you and that level of discernment that it creates around, do I resonate with this? I pulled High Priestess. What levels does that feel true to me? Like, that's where the true beauty of spirituality is in, right? Is contemplating and having that level of discernment around, is this true for me? I'm not saying you have to jump on the bandwagon of every single spiritual modality. Truthfully, I consider myself a spiritual person, but I don't. It's very important to have discernment around, does this help me feel more empowered? Does this help me feel more actualized? Does this allow me to have insights to my journey and where it is that I am? Or does this put me into a fear state or a scared state? Like, again, have discernment. I'm not saying every single spiritual modality is for you, but it's less so about the modality, the cards or the pendulum, what have you, but more so around the insights that it generates for you, the reflection it generates for you, and the wisdom it generates for you as you contemplate, is this true for me? And for some of you, it's like forgiving yourself for past times you did not listen to your intuition, okay? I'm feeling that strongly with the trine to Lilith and Mars. Like, some of you are having to forgive yourself. Some of you are either in the process or you have walked away from something that was self-destructive. You've kept yourself ensnared in bad habits and you are liberating yourself from those now, forgiving yourself for the past version of yourself who was in that hamster wheel of that bad habit. Because like I was talking about earlier, things in the shadows have the ability to fester and to multiply so much faster than things brought into the light. And with the Sagittarius full moon in the 12th house, you are doing some deep work at this time. You're acknowledging self-sabotaging behaviors. You're acknowledging escapist tendencies. You're acknowledging times that you have betrayed yourself by not listening to your intuition. You are essentially illuminating these aspects and thus taking away their power, right? Because when we ignore, when we avoid, these things get more and more powerful, and that call to escape from it all gets more and more powerful, and that's when these bad habits multiply. So with the Sagittarius full moon, you're really wanting to acknowledge the truth about yourself. You're really doing shadow work at this time. You're really looking at ways you have sabotaged yourself, ways you've kept yourself small, ways you've betrayed yourself by not listening to your inner guidance system. You're really taking a moment to check out from the external world, because I know you guys are busy bees, okay? You have Gemini, Sun in the sixth house. A lot of people depend on you, and there's almost this energy around, for these people to depend on me, I need to cultivate self-trust. I need to believe in myself from the inside out. I feel that's a message for a couple of you. Some of you have to cultivate more optimism around things can go well for me, okay? Because I know a lot of you guys are Capricorn risings, and things have been very hard for you all, okay? I know that. And with the Sagittarius full moon, it's like, what would it look like if I did expect the best? If I didn't go in really honing in and hyperfixating on every error, every mistake? What if I went in and really was my own biggest cheerleader? What would it look like? And what are the limiting beliefs that are getting in my way from me being able to step into that truth, for me being able to embody that optimism? That's what the Sagittarius full moon is asking. So my loves, this Sagittarius full moon is a radical reclamation. It is a rebellious roar. It is a sort of energy around burning away the thoughts, the opinions of anyone who is trying to keep us small, whether that is a person, whether that is an institution, whether that is a society. This is an energy where we are allowing our most authentic, our most free light to guide the way as we align our arrow to the direction of where we will be the most empowered and the most actualized. So I'd so love to hear, what are you focusing on for the Sagittarius full moon? What illuminations have already come to the surface? I would love to know. You can comment below. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.